Hey everybody, the season is about to kick off here, 2026 in the Gorge. And over the last few years, I've put several thousand miles on these masts from AFS. And I've always, I've been really focused on masts for a few years and I've learned a lot. And I wanted to share my perspective as a rider in the Gorge who's out there all the time getting thousands of miles in. I wanted to share with you what my experience is with each one of these masts and how the differences in them impact my riding experience. So this is hopefully going to be obviously applicable to you if you're considering an AFS mast, but if you're looking at other brands and other masts, uh, this will hopefully help you figure out exactly what you want to pick and why you want to pick it. So starting off, this is the 80 centimeter UHM from AFS, and this mast has been around for a really long time, and I kind of consider this to be the gold standard mast for what I recommend almost everybody get and everybody try. This is the mast that I learned to ride AFS on, and some dims on it. It's 13.8 millimeters thickness is going to translate. You're going to feel a faster, smoother, better glide, less drag. And then the cord on this is 115 millimeters. If you look around, you'll see a lot of cords are kind of closer to 120. So this is a little bit of a shortened cord. That cord is going to mean it's going to surf a little bit better. It's also going to have a little bit less drag. But I think the absolute most important thing to know about this mast is how stiff it is. And when you are out there and you are riding aggressively and you're bringing the tips out of the water, I cannot say enough about how much I feel as though your mast stiffness matters. This mast is one of the stiffest on the market, and when I bring the tips out of the water on my foils, it just feels solid. There's no hesitation, there's no burble, there's no flex in the mast that can end up having me get thrown off. So that's a really big deal. Now the other thing about this mast with the stiffness is that it pumps well. The fuller cord at 115 millimeters is going to give you a very linear experience in comparison to some of these other ones that we're going to talk. Fuller cord is going to make it so that when you pump, the mast can't swivel and swim. So when you pump this, it's going to want to keep going straight forward as opposed to these other shorter cord ones that we'll talk about. So this is going to have, it's naturally going to want to pump more efficiently on a forward direction. And then also that stiffness, you can tell there's a difference when you pump a foil. You get a more direct energy transfer. All right, so this one, again, for anybody who is new to AFS or just wondering about high performance masts, something like this, thin, reasonably reduced cord, super stiff, this is what I recommend to pretty much everybody who's unsure about their choice. All right, next. This is the 75 Skinny, and this is my personal all-time favorite mast. Now, this mast is 12.8 millimeters thick, and it glides forever. It feels so good on the water. It unlocks the high end and the low end on my foils. So I've found that going thinner on my mast consistently provides these benefits that make swell riding easier and make all of my foils have greater range. So then I need to buy less front foils because suddenly the mast is so efficient that the front foils get more room to play. It's just great. And then this one has a really reduced cord. This is all the way down to 100 millimeters on this cord. So this one, when you're riding it, it's gonna open yaw up, and you're gonna have this ability to play with it differently. Now, for me, that's really valuable because in the last year on the Parawing, I have not been trying to go fast. I've been wanting to go slow, and I've been wanting to really focus on just as much style as possible in my riding. I want to flow really nicely. I don't want to pump. I don't want to be missing my link ups on the swell on my downwind runs. So this added yaw that you get out of the shorter cord is going to increase your maneuverability, especially when you're using slower foils. I'm sure that there's benefits on the high-end race realm and when you're using really fast foils, but I can't speak to that as well. But on the low end, so a foil like the Silk 1050, that foil with this mast becomes so much more maneuverable. It gets more speed, more glide, and all of a sudden, I consider that to be my immortal setup. Silk 1050, Ultra Glide 39 tail, this mast. I'm almost never pumping while I'm riding. I'm just flowing, linking swell, pushing for style as much as possible. So again, 12.8 millimeters thick, super smooth, 100 millimeter cord, but there is a trade-off with this mast versus the 80. Now this mast is not as stiff, and it's obvious when you ride this mast. If you breach the tips and you are used to that mast, it's a completely different experience. That stiffness gives you security and gives you stability in tip breaches. This mast, when you breach the tips, you will feel the vibration, you will feel the mast flex. And when you go to pump this mast, I can't, some people tell me they can feel a mast flex when they pump. I've never felt that. I've never been like, oh wow, there was like deflection in the mast right there. I can't feel that. But what I can tell you I feel is my pumps feel kind of dead. They don't feel efficient. They don't feel like I'm getting any forward projection. I'm getting minimal lift out of my pumping. And as a result, I really think of this mast as being ideal if you're looking for hyper fluid, super efficient riding. If you think you're going to be pumping a ton, I don't know. I don't know that this is the best mast. But if you are looking to be super stylish, you don't want to pump because you want to be perfectly positioned all the time, I think that this is the best mast that I've ever ridden. Um, so yeah, shorter cord, more maneuverable, thin, super efficient, shorter length too. So a 75, I ride 75. It's the only length that I want to ride. I can do an 80, but we'll talk about the 85 in a second. And the reason I like the 75 is this arc that you're creating. When your foil is down here, this arc, this is going to be a smaller arc than it is on the 85. So what that means is this mast and your foil and your board are able to travel rail to rail quicker because the distance being traveled is shorter. That's a big part of why I ride the 75 and love the 75. So that is my favorite mast. All right. Now the 85 Skinny, I've ridden this mast less than these two. This mast, probably 2.5, 3,000 miles. The original 80, I probably got, I don't know, 1,500 miles on that one. This mast, I've only got a couple hundred miles on it. And I struggle with the length. That's all there is to it. This is, again, super efficient. It's 13.2 millimeters thick, so it's going to have great glide. And it's got a 105 millimeter cord. I think that the reason they went with the cord being a little bit more than the 100 millimeter cord is that's going to stiffen this up a little bit. And then there's a major change in this mast versus these masts that is really important. So while I like these masts more because they're shorter and I can ride and surf these really well, this mast and these new UHM Skinnies from AFS, they went with a carbon and UHM carbon core. So these are going to have a foam core, and then this is going to have a carbon core. And you know, I had never really thought about core types in foils and masts before. It's not something that I had ever, you know, wondered about. I knew that, you know, I didn't really like the feel of a hollow mast. Um, it was, but I couldn't really tell you why. Like people say, oh, it kind of feels dead or the energy transfer is bad, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And then I've been riding foam core forever, and that just became what I liked, but I didn't think about it And then this carbon core came out. And again, I am not skilled at riding this mast. I just feel all out of sorts. There's too much this arc. The arc that's really short on the 75 is so much larger on the 85 that I can't get rail to rail very well. And I kind of just, I don't know. I feel like this is, if you're a kind of person who is kiteboarding, or maybe you're winging and you're racing and you want to go super fast, having more length is great. But for swell riding, I think the short is better. Anyways, starting to rant and ramble a little bit here. What I can tell you is that I have taken this mast out with the Silk 650. I like the Silk 650 on this mast so much. It was the first time I had ever ridden that foil and felt this incredibly crisp, direct pump on the Silk 650. It was so much better. I had never thought that I could pump the Silk 650 especially well. It's not known for being a pump foil. It's a tiny little 8 aspect ratio surf foil. And it's great. It's probably the best surf foil I've ever ridden in my life as far as aggressive riding goes. But when I put it with this mast, I was able to pump so much better. And then again, the shortened cord and the thin profile gave that foil better low end. With this one, I felt like this mast sped up the Silk 1050 and made that foil have more speed, which it needed. Whereas this one, I don't really need more speed for the Silk 650, but this mast being so low drag, so thin, short cord, there's low, that results in the Silk 650 not being pulled down towards its stall speed. That's why we want really efficient gear, because it's keeping us away from being pulled down to the stall speed. All right, so this mast, uh, having the carbon core and giving the Silk 650 the ability to pump better, I think that completes that foil really well. If they were to take the core that's in this mast and they were to put it in this 75, I would say that the 75 would be the greatest mast in the entire world. But it hasn't happened yet. I want it to happen. It hasn't happened yet. But this one, if you like a little bit more length and you want really direct, really strong pumping, and then hyper efficient dims with the shorter cord and the really thin profile, this is an excellent choice. The people that I've loaned this one out to that are kite foilers have said that this is one of the best kite foiling masts they've used. And then my friends who also like to go really fast and have demoed this said that they also like this one a lot. So that's my rundown on the AFS mast range, the ones I've ridden, and the ones I like. They did take this core and they put it into an 80. I haven't gotten to try that one yet, but I know it's out there. I'd love to try it one of these days. But I really am hoping that they put the carbon core in the 75. So if you have questions about mast selection, I've done a huge article on my website, 10,000 miles of notes on mast selection. You can go, you can check it out. I'm always updating it and adding new things to it. And then you're also welcome to drop a comment on this YouTube video, and we'll see if I can answer it for you. But otherwise, hope to see you at the river.